Hello, and welcome to a quick guide for Fallen Cecilia. Fallen Cecilia is the most recent 5-star Mystic hero and our very first 5-star Moonlight Knight. I'll be going over my recommendations in this video, along with her mechanics, scaling, and tips later on. If you want to skip to a specific time in this video, please look at the description below. My initial thoughts on Fallen Cecilia is that she's a very strong PvP hero who excels when placed on defense. She can also be viable in PvE when placed in the correct compositions and for very specific content. I personally love her character design and enjoy playing with her unique skill set. With regards to PvE content, Fallen Cecilia skill set is all about increasing survivability of your team through reducing and absorbing hits. She has decent damage for a tank, much like regular Cecilia, but lacks armor break, attack break, or any other defensive buffs to help the team. Her S2 creates a strong barrier from 10 to 15% of her total health at the start of a combat to all units, and this includes when you move forward in a stage of Abyss, Labyrinth, or Adventure. She also applies a shield to one target that is the lowest health at the end of the turn. Her S3 has a quite unique effect which gives Skill Nullifier to all units. Skill Nullifier absorbs the next damage of an attack but doesn't absorb the debuffs. This can be very helpful when trying to deal with bosses' burst windows, as it is a 5-turn cooldown when mola that can be further reduced to 3 turns for a measly 10 souls. She doesn't have many offensive or defensive buffs. Along with not adding much damage to the team, it is unlikely she will be used in many speedrunning teams. She can be a viable team pick when you have the essential buffs and debuffs necessary. I definitely can foresee her becoming more viable in PvE content that's upcoming, such as Automation Tower and guild bosses. Currently, in Asmakalis Raid, she's not very good because 4 of the 5 bosses have a way to counteract many of her abilities. You can bring her for Golem Hunt and Wyvern Hunt as a strength tank, but she's not the optimal choice for either. With regards to PvP content, she's extremely strong in PvP, especially when paired on defense with characters that handle debuffs like Angelic Montmorency. She can be viable in offense due to her 100% taunt and large amount of damage mitigation. This also makes her pretty good in Guild War offense and defense due to the lack of survivability that you can get with a 3-man team. She isn't strong in the current meta as she could be because of the large amount of debuffs, but she can help on defense counteract teams like Auxiliary Lots and Sis. Now let's take a look at her skills. Her S1 is a 0.7 attack modifier with a 7% of total max HP damage baked in. The taunt threshold for her is 75% to start and 100% when max mola. This puts her S1 in line with Crowd, having a bit more taunt percentage, but a little less damage on the S1. Her S2 starts at a 10% shield and goes up to 15% when max mola. Her S3 skill is a 0.65 attack modifier with a 12% max HP damage baked in. Also, on the third increase of her skill, this is reduced by 1 turn cooldown. So now, what set should I build on her? Well, for PvE or PvP plus PvE, I'd recommend going with the speed set in either hit, effect res, HP, or defense. In PvE, Cecilia's main saving grace is the amount of barriers and skill nullifiers you can put up. Straight PvP, you can also have the option of going HP, effect res, defense, hit, or counter sets. Keeping in mind that if you're running counter set, you would most likely want to have very high effectiveness and max out her S1 for the provoke. Because of how well she synergizes with speed, it is recommended that you almost always take a speed boots. Now that you've chosen a set, what artifact should you wear? For PvE, I would recommend going an Aureus if you're using her to reduce the damage of the entire group, or Sword of Ezra and Noble Oath if you're using her as a frontline tank. For PvP, I would either recommend running an Aureus if you don't have it on another unit already in your defensive setup, or a Ritual Blade if you want a bit more control and damage out of Moonlight Cecilia. I wouldn't recommend running any other artifacts on Moonlight Cecilia, but you can go ahead and test it in your own time. So the question becomes, should I pull or invest mola in Cecilia? Well, if you're looking for a pure tank who excels in PvP defense, I would consider investing heavily in Cecilia. But if you're more of a PvE person, I wouldn't recommend investing much in this unit. As for the current content, it is not very relevant. If you choose to mola Cecilia, my advice to you would be to focus on her S2 first, followed by her S3 until you get the turn order reduction, and then S1 till you get 100% taunt effectiveness. Now, let's talk a little bit about some tips and mechanics of Cecilia. Knowing when to use her S3 and when to taunt can make all the difference. Prioritize saving the S3 if you know a burst is coming up, or if you see a great opportunity to disrupt an enemy with the taunt. If you're looking to heavily invest in Moonlight Cecilia, make sure that you're properly building a PvE or PvP team that complements her. If she isn't set with the correct complementing units, she's more or less dead weight. That about does it for this video. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. I'll be trying to get out guides more regularly, and if this is something you're interested in discussing, you can always join our Discord listed in the description. Thank you for watching, and bye for now.